Eid al-Fitr festival, leaders sue for peace as Muslim faithful end month-long Ramadan fast.
We also need to find out what is causing this illness.
NCDC steps in to unravel cause of illness of unknown origin affecting children in Sokoto State.
The Federal Ministry of Environment, with the support of UNDP, has trained 32 centers all over the country.
Federal government seeks collaboration with technicians to phase out ozone-depleting substances. Good evening and welcome to the Network News on NTA. I'm Elizabeth Omori, and Eid Mubarak in advance. May Allah answer our prayers and accept our worship. Tonight, our busy businessman, Benny Adams, will bring us some business reports in the course of the bulletin. And don't forget, you can follow us live on our website, nc.ng/live, NG News Now on X, as well as other social handles displayed on the screen. Now, the federal government has approved Thursday, 11th of April 2024 as an additional public holiday to celebrate this year's Eid al-Fitr. In a statement, the Minister of Interior, Olubunmi Tunjojo, who congratulates the Muslim Ummah for a successful completion of a month of spiritual rejuvenation, reiterates President Bola Tinubu's firm commitment to providing a safe and prosperous Nigeria for all to thrive. And President Tinubu felicitates with the Muslim Ummah at Eid al-Fitr, an auspicious occasion that signifies the end of Ramadan, a season which reflects total submission to Almighty Allah and to His command of sacrifice and service to humankind. In a statement, the President praised that the prayers and sacrifices of the Muslim faithful at this period will receive the fitting rewards from Allah, as he emphasized during an iftar with some Nigerian leaders of thoughts and conscience. He appeals to all citizens to rededicate themselves to the noble duty of building the nation. Similarly, President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, congratulates Muslims for the successful end of the 30 days Ramadan fast and wishes them Eid Mubarak as they celebrate the feast of Eid al-Fitr. Akpabio, in a congratulatory message, rejoices with Muslims in Nigeria and urges them to continue to offer prayers for peace, unity and prosperity of Nigeria. In the same vein, Speaker Tajuddin Abbas enjoins Muslims to internalize lessons learned from the holy month of Ramadan and calls for more prayers for Nigeria and the current administration even after Ramadan is over. Now, ahead of Salah festivities, Yobe State government says it has put in place measures to ensure that Muslim faithful celebrate the end of Ramadan fast in a peaceful atmosphere across the state. This was at an emergency meeting summoned to review existing security arrangements as well as adopt new measures to forestall any breach. Yunus Sulaiman brings us details.
State is generally adjudged to be enjoying relative peace, but the rising cases of culpable homicides among youth groups within Damaturu metropolis have become source of concern to stakeholders in the state. This meeting was therefore summoned to review existing security arrangements in the state and adopt more robust strategies as Muslim faithful prepare to celebrate this year's Eid al-Fitr Salah celebrations.
Praying grounds are going to be adequately covered, as well as the places of social activities. I'm still using this opportunity to advise members of the public to feel free and come out for their religious rite and the Salah celebration.
Stakeholders here have advised parents and caregivers in the state to watch out the whereabouts of their children and wards before, during and after the festivities, warning that anyone found breaching public peace will be made to face the full wrath of the law. In the Damaturu, Yunus Sulaiman, NTA News.
Ahead of the celebration, the Federal Road Safety Corps Kaduna State Command has flagged off a special patrol in Kaduna to ensure safety of motorists and all road users during the festive period. Adamu Sunday reports that the flag-off signifies commencement of the operation in all road safety formations in the states.
Festive period is usually characterized with high vehicular movement of people traveling from one part of the country to another to celebrate with their loved ones. Nnamdi Azikiwe Expressway is one of the busiest roads in Kaduna that has become a nightmare to motorists due to frequent gridlock as a result of the ongoing rehabilitations, as well as impatience of motorists. To nip in the bud and ensure hitch-free Salah celebration across the state, the Fire Road Safety Corps, Kaduna State Command, and other stakeholders flagged off the 2024 Salah Special Patrol, sensitizing motorists and other road users to avoid overspeeding, phone calls while driving, having their vehicles in good condition, and avoid overloading during and after the festive period.
We station our teams in some designated areas where we anticipate gridlock within the metro area, so that people that have cause to cross Kaduna on their way to join other states will not have any cause to have any gridlock.
Castlear is ready to work and achieve the goal, not even for its own but other ones.
We drivers, we need to be cautioned whenever we are traveling, more especially in this period.
We will continue to collaborate with the Federal Road Safety, Castlear and other agencies to ensure safety on our routes.
Stakeholders cautioned motorists to avoid driving at night as well as obey traffic rules and regulations during and after the festive period. Haruna Mohammed, NTA News.
It has been a month-long Ramadan fast by Muslims world over, and Eid al-Fitr festival beckons to mark the successful completion of the spiritual moments of obedience. Religious correspondent Abdullah Ajia interacted with some clerics on expectations from worshippers on Eid Day.
Eid al-Fitr remains one of the important festivals in Islam. It is the celebration of gratitude and prayers to Allah, usually observed on the 1st of Shawwal. The spiritual and physical preparations for the celebration, according to the acceptable sunnah of the Prophet, peace be upon him, are established around moderation, sober reflection, and the expression of joy and congratulatory salutations to one another on the successful completion of the Ramadan fast.
The sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ is for Muslims are expected to wear the best cloth, so you put perfume and then go to the Eid ground. Eid prayer is expected to hold in a outskirt of the town, not inside the mosque. Normal 5 daily prayer mosque. Women and men are expected to be there. Even the women that are menstruating can also go for them to listen to the sermon.
Islamic clerics enumerate more on the acts of worship expected on the day of Eid.
We need to give out our Zakatul Fitr early before going out for Eid al-Fitr. That is the Prophet's tradition. He instructed us to give out, as he said, if you give it after Eid, that one is not Zakatul Fitr. We are expected to take our ghusl, that is Islamic way of ritual bath, and we should go out with our family.
From the night of Eid to the time you go out of your house, throughout up to the mosque, and after prayer you are expected to recite a zikr the Prophet ﷺ taught us, which is La ilaha illallah, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, La ilaha illallah, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Wallahi alhamd. Muslims are expected to make their families happy also.
Family fraternity and bonding with friends are also parts of the joyous occasion. As the Muslim world observed this year's Eid al-Fitr celebration, the scholars advised that virtues and values should be cherished. In Abuja, Abdullah Hajia, NTA News.
Eid al-Fitr is one of the 2 festivals in Islam celebrated to mark the end of a month-long fasting period in Ramadan. Now, what are the lessons and significance of the season, and what should be seen of Muslims after this spiritual exercise? Larry Bilay will tell us in this report.
The month-long Ramadan fast is mandatory for Muslim faithful through divine injunction to be at their utmost character during the fasting period. Charitable acts are also expected of the faithful, and it is with a view of empathizing with the poor and downtrodden in the society. The last 10 days of Ramadan is also very significant as it precedes Eid al-Fitr, also referred to as the festival of the breaking of fast.
كتب عليكم الصيام كما كتب على الذين من قبلكم is a way of balancing up between the spirit and the body and the soul.
You are complaining of a headache, you are complaining of a stomach ache, but when you are fasting, you will discover that throughout that month, you will not experience any of such. So those are the benefits that from Almighty Allah.
As the fasting period runs off, Muslims are mandated to give share food or its equivalent in monetary terms to the needy to set them in the celebration mood.
What do we call Zakatul Fitr? It is a form of charity given to the needy before the Eid prayers, so that they also can enjoy, celebrate with their family.
The lessons of Eid transcends from the teachings in the month of Ramadan.
We need to be more patient with ourselves and our control ourselves, not about doing bad things.
The significance of Ramadan is to inspire God's consciousness and promote peaceful coexistence in the society. In Lagos, Larry Bilayi, NTA News.
Thank you, Larry. Time to take a break. The news continues shortly. You're still watching the network news. Let's shift attention to health matters. The Nigerian Center for Disease Control and Prevention says it has deployed a national rapid response team to Isa local government area of Sokoto State, following reported cases of children presenting symptoms which include abdominal distension. NCDC Director General Olajide Idris, at an emergency engagement with journalists in Abuja, is expecting the team to unravel the root cause of the incident, which has been described as an illness of unknown origin. Olusheye Adeabo reports.
21st March 2024, the Nigerian Center for Disease Control and Prevention (NCDC) gets notified by the Sokoto Ministry of Health on reported cases of children presenting with symptoms which include abdominal distension due to rapid onset of fluids in the abdomen, fever, vomiting and weight loss in 6 wards of Isa local government area of Sokoto State. Most of these cases are said to be affecting children aged 4 to 13 years and some adults. The NCDC data case management also revealed a total of 164 suspected cases and describes the situation as alarming.
There's a cause for alarm because people are dying. One, people are ill. So even if we want death, we should be worried. But we don't want to, like when you say it's not of infectious origin, because that they spread quickly. So there's no cause for alarm for that. But we also need to find out what is causing this illness.
A similar incident was said to have previously been documented with the agency in 2023, but without a definitive diagnosis. And the NCDC boss says there is a better approach this time.
And that's why now we're bringing other laboratories like NIPRIT, NAFDAC. So as of now, there is no definitive diagnosis. Most of the cases that in the teaching hospital are being treated symptomatically. And like Riley said, 1 or 2 of them are responding to treatment.
Jide Idris also said affected areas are receiving adequate health advisories to mitigate spread, and lessons learned are properly documented for future preparedness. In Abuja, Olusheye Adeabo, NTA News.
To humanitarian affairs, the National Emergency Management Agency (NEMA) has extended relief support to people living with disabilities whose community was gutted by fire recently in Karmajiji village of the FCT. Director General of the agency, who sympathized with victims, says the agency will always show concern and support to every vulnerable Nigerian who may be affected in any form of disaster across the country. Ilyasu Yakubu reports.
It was indeed a double jeopardy for this category of people living with disabilities, and when fire ravaged their community, life became unbearable. And when the news of the tragedy got to the National Emergency Management Agency in NEMA, they swiftly made provisions to cater for the victims. Items delivered to them included household equipment, food, and non-food items. The beneficiaries commended the federal government and NEMA for the support.
We are saying thank you for the relief material for the residents of Karmajiji.
The DG name said the agency is now well prepared to manage and mitigate disasters.
Persons living with disabilities do not deserve just pity. What they deserve is support to trigger and activate their latent capacities. As the saying goes, behind every disability, there are tremendous abilities.
She commended the Executive Secretary, National Commission for People Living with Disabilities, for thorough supervision of the distribution of the palliatives. The Executive Secretary of the Commission, Dr. David Lalu, appreciated NEMA for coming to the aid of the fire victims.
Thank you so very much for this huge support that we are seeing here today, that is going to the disability community, those who were affected in that fire incident in Karmajiji. We always appreciate NEMA for responding so swiftly and promptly for every request the National Commission for Persons with Disabilities continue to put forward.
It will be recalled that fire gutted Karmajiji village recently, and thousands of people living with disabilities were affected in the incident. In Abuja, Ilyasu Yakubu, NTA News.
And it's a new dawn for senior citizens across the country as the National Senior Citizens Center is set to establish an active center to cater to the different needs of senior citizens in the country. Ruth Aguele reports that the Director General, Dr. M.M. Omokaro, signed a memorandum of understanding with a private company in Abuja to facilitate the project.
Appending their signatures, signaling a new partnership that will birth the One Community, One Senior Center, a collaborative venture between the National Senior Citizen Center and a private company. This opens a new window for a multi-purpose, functional, secured and comfortable senior center, an initiative that seeks to provide support in building the necessary infrastructure for senior citizens across the country to serve as a one-stop hub for empowerment of senior citizens through skills acquisition with recreational activities designed to meet their diverse needs.
We believe the time has come for this to take root in Nigeria, just like the rest of the world. What we're doing is looking out for elders in Nigeria in a way that has never been done before, because this is all brand new.
This is going to really become the nerve center of empowerment, both for the seniors and the youths. Because the programs that we have designed, for instance, multipurpose cooperatives, are also designed for the women. Our Grandmothers Arise for Good, which really, identifies all the women's value and what they love to do in the community to empower them.
The project is expected to be replicated across the 6 geopolitical zones in the country, as both partners believe, with other corporate partners keen into the project, it will become a reality. In Abuja, Ruth Aguele, NTA News.
And in other news, Bayelsa State Governor says his administration is committed to partnering with the UNDP Economic Revitalization Program to support MSMEs for the overall development of the state. Governor Doye Diri said this during the launch of the UNDP Economic Revitalization Program at the Government House, Yenegwa. Ebinimi Zitimiyola reports.
For any state or country to thrive, there is the need to encourage small-scale businesses. To this end, the United Nations Development Programme and the European Union is championing that cause by enhancing the capabilities through MSMEs cluster-based support to mitigate the adverse effects of the current socio-economic challenges through targeted intervention and support mechanism. Team leader Joyce Oburu, while handing 200 million naira check to the Bayelsa State Governor for 200 Bayelsans, said the program is aimed at empowering MSMEs across various sectors and green economy value chain.
Say that this project will yield significant positive outcome for the MSME sector in Bayelsa State. By strengthening the capacity of these MSMEs, we aim to stimulate economic growth.
Monumental challenges that we have in terms of development as dictated by our terrain. But that not being the case, I'm one person who believes that terrain or no terrain, we must develop these states. And you are welcome as partners to join us to develop these states.
Partnership with the UNDP is expected to bring about the needed prosperity to Bayelsa State. Ebinimi Zitemiola, NTA News.
The Nigerian Navy has intercepted 620 parcels of substances suspected to be marijuana originating from Edo State within the borders of Kogi State. This was at a checkpoint along the Lokoja-Abuja route by personnel from the Nigerian Navy ship Lugat's Special Team in Banda, Kogi State. Solomon Aiden reports.
Fight against criminal elements within the nation requires concerted efforts, as emphasized by Commodore Moses Epele, Commander, Nigerian Navy ship Lugard, Banda. He said this while parading a suspected marijuana peddler. Commodore Epele explained that a team deployed for special duty intercepted the Navy Blue Golf car laden with the illicit substance from the Sabora community in Edo State. The suspect, identified as a 34-year-old male from Katsina State, was subsequently handed over to the officer in charge of Strike Force and Head Narcotics, National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, Olufemi Abolaniwa, for further investigation.
On the part of Nigerian Navy ship Lugard, we shall not rest on our oars in curbing activities of miscreants.
It's worth noting that Ida, Ibaji, and Okene local government areas in Kogi State share borders with Edo State. In Lokoja, Solomon Ayedehi.
Vice President Kashim Shettima has reiterated President Bola Tinubu's commitment in addressing the infrastructural needs of Nigeria. State House correspondent Abdurrahman Jibrila reports that the Vice President gave the assurance in Maiduguri when he hosted members of the Borno Elders Forum, APC faithful and stakeholders to iftar. The Vice President called for continued support for the Tinubu administration by all Nigerians as the government's policies will start yielding fruit soon. He specifically made reference to the power supply challenge in Maiduguri and other parts of Borno, and the President has issued a directive to address the situation immediately.
I ask all of us here to keep the President in our prayers, to keep the state in our prayers, the leadership in our prayers, and the nation in our prayers. Every responsible citizen will pray for the leadership of the nation.
Chairman of Borno Elders Forum, Alhaji Gambo Gubio, and the Secretary, Dr. Bolama Malik Gubio, expressed deep belief in the capacities of President Tinubu and the Vice Shettima in taking Nigeria to a more prosperous heights. Meanwhile, the Federal Executive Council felicitates with the Muslim faithful on the successful completion of the 2024 Ramadan fast. In a statement, the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Senator George Akume, on behalf of the Council, urges the Muslim faithful to continue to reflect on lessons of the fast, which include love, sacrifice, endurance, obedience, and compassion, and be optimistic in their support for President Bola Tinubu. Let's take some more paid messages. Stay with the NTA. This is the network news on NTA, and it's time to talk business. Our busy businessman, Benny Adams, is set.
Thank you, Elizabeth, and welcome to business. Now, ahead of the Central Bank's Monetary Policy Committee meeting in May, some players in the economic circle are still expecting hike in lending rates. This is coming at a time the manufacturing sector decries high borrowing cost, which they say is pushing up cost of production.
There is a need to continue hiking rates. I know that some people are saying that affects the cost of credit, but your purchasing power is going under. And when you tackle inflation, it's also good for businesses because many businesses are folded because of inflation. So it's not only about the cost of credit alone. And the way the central bank is going about it, I think that is largely gladdening to know. And it's building confidence. Investors are coming in. They are buying treasury bills. They are buying bonds because the interest is high in the region of 20-something. And you can hardly find it elsewhere in the world. So that's why more of them are coming. and that has increased the foreign exchange inflows by some sources by as high as $2.1 billion. So that is encouraging to hear.
And now taking a look at markets with the Nigerian stock market on break ahead of the Eid celebrations, we bring you highlights of markets around the world as European markets looked ahead to U.S. inflation data. That is business news. Elizabeth, take it from here.
Thank you, Benny. To Infrastructure Development, Minister of Works Dave Umahi restates the commitment of the federal government to ensuring that all federal road projects are executed speedily and delivered according to specifications. He gave this assurance during an inspection tour of ongoing reconstruction work at Enugu Port Harcourt Dual Carriageway and the Eleme-One axis of the East-West Road. Chidibere Onya's report is here presented.
The Enugu Port Harcourt Road project is one of the key infrastructures which is receiving federal government attention. The Dual Carriage Road project links the southeast and south-south regions of the country. Minister of Works Dave Umahi, after detailed inspection of the drains, baselines, culverts, and the quality of job done so far on the Port Harcourt-Abala section of the road, noted that when completed, the road will play a pivotal role in enhancing connectivity in the transportation corridor of the country.
By end of April, they should have fully completed one carriageway. Working at the last 3.1 kilometer on that segment. And then the other segment will be left with 5 kilometers, which we have rescoped to appreciate the cost of inflection.
Speaking at the site of the 15-kilometer Eleme-One junction of the East-West Road Rehabilitation Project, the minister directed the contractors handling the project to speed up work and ensure strict compliance to specification.
If they don't increase the pace, I will take out a portion of this road and give to another contractor. That is what we are doing. We would not want contractor to stay on a job like this 15 kilometer by 30 kilometer. Even though it's a very specialized kind of construction.
He further stated that the federal government will not accept the delivery of jobs that fall short of standard.
Technicians in the refrigerator and air conditioning sector have been equipped to strategically assist in the nation's drive to totally phase out hydrochlorofluorocarbons and other ozone-depleting substances. Beneficiary training centers have received equipment worth more than $2 million from the Federal Ministry of Environment in collaboration with the United Nations Development Program and other partners. Environment correspondent Jennifer Igwe has more on this.
Efforts under the Montreal Protocol are helping to heal the hole in the ozone layer. However, we are not out of the woods yet, as there are still potent ozone-depleting substances that can cause the ozone layer to become thinner. So to save the ozone layer and protect us from the deadly effects of ultraviolet radiation that comes from its depletion, gases like chlorofluorocarbon CFCs, halons, and other ozone-depleting substances widely used in the manufacture and servicing of refrigerators and air conditioners, including those used for firefighting and production of foam and solvent, need to go. Nigeria has succeeded in phasing out CFCs, so one down with more to go. To meet its target of phasing out another critical gas, hydrofluorocarbon, the nation is building the capacity of training centers through donation of relevant equipment.
The Federal Ministry of Environment, with the support of UNDP, has trained 32 centers all over the country. Those centers have been certified. They were trained in Italy, and they have been certified to be able to train other technicians in the use of these new refrigerants that are less negatively impactful to the environment.
Provide the right equipment for them to be able to provide the necessary when they're doing repairs, for example, of refrigerators, to use the right gases to be able to make sure that we are not introducing more gases into the atmosphere and therefore depleting the ozone. But also importantly, on the flip side, in terms of impact, is the potential for job creation.
Beneficiaries drawn from different parts of the country and this center in Lagos, for example, are expected to train and certify over 10,000 technicians on good refrigeration practices using hydrocarbon refrigerants. In Lagos, Jennifer Igwe, NTA News.
To other matters of concern, the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security flags off its annual aerial spray of pesticide against quail birds' attack on Nigerian crops. The spray, which is expected to take place in all the flashpoints of the 9 local government areas of Abuja State, will also take place in some areas of Gombe State, where these birds usually visit. Correspondent Abdullahi Aminu completes the story.
This is a multipurpose Cessna 206 aircraft. It is now ready for the spray of chemicals that will control the disaster of quail birds' attack on the country's farm produce.
Quail are the most hated birds that are appearing in an extreme number. The small birds are causing huge damage of the crops, with an average of one eating about 10 grams of grain per day. Pentian and DDVP are the 2 chemicals used to spray the areas that are experiencing the attack of these birds.
What we want to achieve is to ensure that we reduce these birds to the barest minimum, so that even if they are surviving, the number or the damage they can cause will be to the barest minimum that the farmers can even bear. Then our crops will be protected from being destroyed.
Agricultural transformation policies of the federal government has made positive impact in the sector, leading to increased yields and production.
The Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security has drawn the attention of the affected communities to properly cover their water containers and stay away from eating any dead bird they may see after the spray.
We were given 1,600 liters of Fentanyl to spray in those chemicals and DDVP, which is used to reconstitute the Fentanyl in order to have a very lasting effect on those birds.
The aerial spray will continue with other flash areas in Gombe State after the completion of the 9 local government areas of Bauchi State. In Bauchi, Abdullahi Aminu, NTA News.
And with farming activities, food sufficiency is achievable if home builders can allocate enough green areas for crop cultivation in their compounds. This is the position of some key players in Akure, Ondo State to the current inflammatory situation in the country. Abiola Ariyo has more.
Research conducted by the United Nations reveals that Nigeria's population has increased by approximately 5 million, highlighting the need for the country to strengthen its economy, particularly in the agricultural sector, to meet the growing demands for food. While food insecurity is a global issue, the Nigerian Bureau of Statistics reports that Nigeria currently faces a food inflation rate of 29.90%. In the case of 36-year-old Michael Olukotun, a resident of Aule community in Akure, Ondo State, he took the initiative to plant cassava and maize on a small piece of land in his compound, and this, he said, has saved him significant amount of money, especially during this period.
The cassava, we use it for gari, use it for this lafun of a thing, the cassava flour, then we use it for fufu.
An expert in agribusiness predicts that the current food crunch may persist except homeowners allocate space for farming in their compounds, emphasizing that there are new farming techniques that households can adopt to achieve abundant harvest, even on small plots of land.
You can go into farming using sacks. You can use sacks, even to plant yams. You can use sack to plant potato.
Experts believe that implementing appropriate policies and fostering collaboration on sustainable agricultural production will enhance food sufficiency in the country. In Akure, Abiola Ario, NTA News.
Away from farming, cultivating the habit of giving out of one's blessings is not only a noble act of selflessness, but a way of reducing poverty and crime in society. This was the focus at the 17th annual lecture held in honor of the former Zonal Director, Nigeria Television Authority Sokoto, Alhaji Yaya Sani. Shola Wahid has the details.
Recitations from the glorious Quran and special eulogy set the tone for the annual lecture organized in memory of veteran journalist Alhaji Yaya Sani for his contributions to Islam and humanity. In his lecture titled Benefits of Spending in the Cause of Allah, the guest lecturer, a professor of Islamic law, Abdul Wahab Eleshin, emphasized on the need for people to shun greed and encourage those who have to extend to the less privileged in the society. He described the late Yaya Sani as an epitome of selflessness and humility who should be emulated by all.
We came with nothing and we will go back with nothing. We should not forget to spend our wealth, our knowledge, our experience to the cause of Almighty Allah.
For those he left behind, his memories linger on.
I can assess him with the relationship with me. Whatever he says for me is the final. This is the 17 years or 18 that he has passed away. There is no day I will not cry.
He was my benefactor. You can learn a lot from Alhaji Yaya Olusola Sani.
The late Yaya Sani worked in NTA Network Lagos as Assistant Director of News and retired as the Zonal Director NTA Sokoto in March 2005. He was one of the heroes of the Nigerian Civil War, a veteran journalist and astute administrator. He died on the 6th of September 2007 in Ilorin. Shola Wahid, NTA News.
And while some residents of Lagos have kick-started the long public holiday, a black day for some traders in Dosumo area in Idumota as buildings and goods worth millions of naira were gutted by fire. Larry Bilay was at the scene of the incident to bring us a situation report.
For traders doing business at the Jankara market, with every effort to put out the fire which lasted for more than 4 hours, proving abortive. Traders not directly affected but close to the scene of the fire outbreak, the scrambling to save their goods from the inferno could be seen due to the increasing fear that adjoining buildings will be affected.
A 750 kV generator exploded, but what caused a lot of the explosion, there is a lot of hiding of petrol and the material of petrochemical there, all these bangers and other things. These are the warehouse there.
Concerted effort of both federal, state and private emergency responders seemed to pay off, but the disturbing crowd limited the intervention.
I'm really surprised because I don't know that we don't even expect this. The fire service arrived in time, but the issue is that all the buildings that the incident happened are very close, which give them hard way to enter. So with their all their effort, they try and respond very well.
Security agents were on ground to foster breakdown of law and order. About 14 buildings have been razed, with 4 of them at various stages of collapse. No casualty or injuries were recorded, as the battle to completely quench the fire is still on as the time of filing this report. In Lagos, Larry Bilay, NTA News.
We still have more on Ramadan. Fasting in the month of Ramadan is a deliberate plan by Allah to help the Muslim faithful redirect their steps and strengthen relationship with their Creator. Muslims are also expected to intensify good deeds and be at their utmost behavior, especially in the last 10 days of the month. Musa Tole in this report presents an overview of the month of Ramadan, its ideals and benefits.
Fasting is made obligatory on Muslims just like it was prescribed for previous generations with a view to attaining piety. Ramadan fast is also an injunction from Allah as a favor completed on Prophet Muhammad and adherents of the Islamic faith.
When you are fasting, you become healthy because Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam says, Sumu tasihu, fast and you will be healthy.
So in Ramadan, Allah used that to serve as a classroom for us so that we can learn how to maximize our day.
The last 10 days of Ramadan encourage Muslims to seek a certain special night known as Laylatul Qadr therein by engaging in seclusion in a mosque.
If one is fortunate of being up and prayer, in that night, it is equivalent to worshipping Allah for more than 1,000 months. Khayrun min alfi shahr.
There is a divine injunction to delight the poor and needy by giving them staple food items to set them in celebration mood on the day of Eid al-Fitr.
It is a means of purifying the fasting Muslim, errors he fell into when he was fasting.
Although the day of Eid al-Fitr marks the termination of Ramadan, there are prophetic traditions to uphold.
The day of Eid is what? Yamul Akli wa Shub wa Dhikrul Azza wa Jal. The day of Eid is the day of eating and drinking, and more importantly, the remembrance of Almighty Allah.
Eid al-Fitr is that we fasted. So when we are encouraged to eat, we are encouraged to eat either tamu or any food to eat before we go to Eid. So when we go to Eid, so what we are supposed to be saying is Takbir, Allahu Akbar, La ilaha illallah, Wallahu Akbar, Walillahil hamdu.
Ramadan fast is the fourth pillar on which Islam is built, and it involves self-deprivation to attain God consciousness. In Lagos, Musa Tolian, NTA News.
Let's take our last break, and when we return, some sporting stories. Now to sports. Nigeria's Super Falcons secure Olympic Games ticket, played goalless against Banyana 1-1-0 aggregates. For more sports news, let's join Gift George on Sports Updates.
After a rigorous qualification process at the state level, over 300 students from secondary schools across the country converged on Lagos for the finals of the Under-18 Football World Cup trials at the National Stadium, Lagos. After 2 days, 25 lucky players were selected on merit under the watchful eyes of the Olabisi Joseph-led Nigerian School Sports Federation Board alongside Coach Haruna Ilerika. The championship is slated for China in May.
From what we have seen, yes, winning is also very sweet. So yes, apart from participating, we look forward to them participating very well and coming home with laurel.
We are beginning to believe that yes, there is hope for our football in Nigeria, and if given the proper orientation and administration.
In other news, the second edition of the Nigerian Scrabble Federation National Scrabble Festival has now gotten a new venue. Initially scheduled to hold in Abuja, Ogun State, the biggest gathering of Scrabble players in the country has now been moved to the historic city of Ijebu-Ode, also in Ogun State. President of the Nigerian Scrabble Federation, Toke Aka, explained that the festival, which begins on April 15, will feature over 200 players from various parts of the country, with each state represented by 6 players. The Interclub Championship will also feature at the event, with 12 clubs featuring. In basketball, Nigeria's top men and women's basketball clubs have been given another huge opportunity to assess their quality ahead of the National League and other continental engagements. 10 men and 6 women clubs from Nigeria, Ghana and Benin Republic featured at the 3rd edition of the Louis Edem Invitational Basketball Championship, which ended at the Indo Sports Hall of the National Stadium, Lagos. The week-long West African Basketball Championship, organized by the former national player, saw MFM defending their title with a 58-56 win over First Bank in the women's final, while Hoops and Reed, owned by former D Tigers captain Olumide Oyedeji, defeated Spintex Knights of Ghana 64-60 to emerge champions in the men's category.
If you look at the history of the Hoops and Reed basketball team, that's what we are, that's what we do. I mean, we build champion, we breed champion, and we continue to build that.
Looking at bringing in scouts and international coaches, so some of these guys can get to play basketball outside of Nigeria and actually earn a good living.
With Sports Update, Gift George, NTA News.
Thank you, George, for the updates. Let's take a quick look at the weather prospect for tomorrow, Wednesday.
Hello. Wednesday is expected to be cloudy to the southern region of the country,
while to the north central and the north, patches of clouds with sunshine intervals are expected. However, there are prospects of morning thunderstorms to parts of Kebbi, Niger, Kwara, Rivers, and Akwa Ibom states. The bulk of the weather activities are expected later during the day, as isolated thunderstorms are anticipated to the southern region, including parts of Benue, the Federal Capital Territory, Kogi, Niger, and Taraba states. That's all for the forecast. Stand by for the air quality and the temperature forecast. I am Theodora Itum. Thank you for watching.
And that's the news. Thank you for watching. I'm Elizabeth Omori. Good night.